I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a village board meeting, Wednesday, October 22nd. If we'd all stand, we'll have Trustee Costa lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo?
Present.
Trustee Kajianis?
Present.
Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Suisse?
Present.
Trustee Yukich?
Present.
Mayor Daley?
Present. This would be D. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
I would like to put a couple things under old business, please.
Okay. Let me see here. What would you like to add to old business?
I want to talk about the dog ordinance to see where we're at. I would like to talk about the Woodbine build-out, and also that Woodbine is going to be having a auction on the lawn equipment and the tables and chairs that are inside the building. And then the last one is the political signs.
Okay, I got it under old business.
Thank you.
Are there any other amendments to the agenda? Okay. Seeing that there are no other amendments to the agenda, any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. So be E, is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 25th, 2014 special village board meeting, Village Hall remodeling staff committee meeting?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo,
Aye, second.
second by Trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajianis? Trustee Sabo?
I abstained. I was not present at that meeting.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be F. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of September 26th through October 23rd, 2014?
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa,
Second.
second by Trustee DeVivo. Any discussion?
I have one question, please.
Sure.
On the very last page, it's got the Will County Animal Control that we paid $900 to. Is this a reimbursable amount, or does the whoever they are picking it up for, do the owners of the dog, cat, or whatever the case may be, pay for it? Does anyone know how that works?
Cam, do you want to answer that?
I'll have to double check on that. I don't know if that was, if those animals were returned or not and chargeable back to the resident. So I'll have to get back to you on that tomorrow.
Well, all right, I appreciate that. Is that just for someone picking up something, or is where they had to take the animal in and have it checked?
It could be for both.
Okay.
For
All right,
both.
if I could please get that, John, I'd
Sure.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Just one comment, Mr. Mayor. if
Go
I may.
ahead, Trustee Costa.
On page 8, under other expenses, under the training, do we have any more training that we're going to be paying for or sending anybody to this year? It looks like we're over our budgeted amount on that, if I read it correctly.
Cam?
Well, yes, there's training is actually budgeted for at a number of different places in the budget, departmentally.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at that line item, and it looks like we're almost triple what we had budgeted.
You said line eight? Is that the,
Which one?
is that
Detailed revenue expense report,
Oh.
page 8. I'm sorry.
on page 8?
Yes.
I think that's it for that line item this year. If you were to look at admin's training budget, has probably 10 grand left to go, or maybe more.
Okay.
EMA has one also. So,
Yeah, that trading is done. That particular line item.
Okay, does that answer your question, trustee Costa?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Sluis.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This would be G. The regular meeting will be in recess for the purpose of conducting a public hearing. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on the final draft version of 159th Street Corridor Planning Study? The public hearing on the final draft version of the 159th Street Corridor Planning Study is, well, I have to get a favorable aye first. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on the final draft version of 159th Street Corridor Plan Study?
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo, second by trustee Costa. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay. The public hearing on the final draft version of the 159th Street Corridor Planning Study is open for comments. The public hearing is designed to allow individuals to state their opinions and/or concerns. It is not a question and answer session. Given that, I know that the Manager Davis wanted to highlight comments that are being put into the public record. Manager Davis, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. I'm just going to distribute these to the board. I think you've actually already received them, but just for the sake of the public meeting, these are all of the comments from the village trustees that want to enter in public comments. They are all together here, along with the Environment Committee public comments. So they'll be available to anyone from the public who would like to see them too. So if you could pass those down, and the village clerk will attach them to the minutes, and of course, they've been provided to the consultants too, so they're a part of the public record.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Davis. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment on the final draft version of 159th Street Corridor Planning from the audience? Go ahead, John. Yeah, name and address for the record. Oh, just name
your
and
name.
address.
John Coy, 12056 West Venetian Way, Homer, Glen. The only thing is, about a little less than 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting about 143rd Street and water retention and detention. I seriously don't think there's enough water retention and detention planned right now at this point on 159th Street. It should be looked into very carefully. And we've tried to fix one of the flooding problems, which, as of right now, I think it's been taken care of, but personally, I don't think it's sufficient. But I think it should be looked into bigger, larger, and more detention areas.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make comment? Go ahead, just give us your name.
My name is Rudolph Violas, 12902 West 159th Street. I live at the Park Place condos, and I basically would like to express my concern as to the entrance and exit facilities and approaches to and exiting those condominiums. The way the general plan is, it's to turn east out of our complex. We have to go west over a quarter of a mile, execute a U-turn, and then go east. Eastbound to enter our complex, we have to go west, east of our driveway, and do another U-turn in order to come into our facility. I know it's not question and answer, but there has to be some other alternative, there has to be some other approach, egress, entrance, whatever, for us to get into and out of that condominium complex. We have, there's 56 families that live in that complex. You've got, if you had 56 homes, that would be a larger voice. I don't know if there's anybody else here from the condos. But this is a concern for us because for that community, the population is, I'm going to say, at least 65% senior citizens in excess of 65 years old. you start throwing some snow down, get 6 or 8 inches of snow, and you're gonna have people having to go westbound to do a U-turn to go eastbound. This is an accident just waiting to happen. I don't know why the planning commission wouldn't have turning lanes instead of a median, but this raised median, in my opinion, and for the people I've spoken to in this complex, is not an acceptable option. We have maybe no choice, but we'd like to at least exercise our right to be heard about that. And a possible, some other alternative means to get into the complex might be acceptable, but as it stands right now, it's I think it's just, you know, something bad is going to happen out of that.
Thank you. Okay, would anybody else like to comment in the public hearing? Okay, if there's no one else that would like to comment, I ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I would like to say something.
Go ahead.
I think this public hearing should be continued. I don't think that the public has had enough opportunity to know about this. This is a major corridor, and we should have given more advance notice than was given on our website. There was no news release provided by Homer Glen, and the small percentage of residents know about this. This is very important. It's major, and I think that continuing it would give the residents an opportunity to actually know what's in it, or to be able to comment on it. This is extremely important because it does affect the whole community, not just 159th Street.
Thank you. Is there any, let's see, okay, so is there any other further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just
Yes,
a question. I
Trustee
know
Pastor.
there were a number of concerns and questions that we have a list here from other elected officials. Are we going to discuss this during this hearing, or are these going to be addressed in the draft and then the draft brought back to us?
Right. The public hearing, as you guys know, because we do a lot of them, is just to gather input, you know, from the public and from the trustees and everything. So that's that record that I entered in. I wanted to enter it in to make sure it was part of the public record, along with the gentleman's conversation. All of the comments will be given to Housel Levine. Those actually, because we got them from you, they've already been given to Housel Levine, so they have them all.
Okay.
And they, with the direction to look at them all very carefully and to address each of them. So in other words, instead of just making adjustments to the plan and then we have to go search and find them, they're to give an answer for each of those items that both the trustees raised, and if the public raised items, they're going to give answers to each of those.
Okay.
And give them to the board. And then, of course, the draft will come back with changes, with being revised, and then you'll have an opportunity to look at that. My plan was, if the public hearing ended today, that we would ask Housel Levine to get right on that, to get you a reworked copy within the next couple weeks. You would have basically a month to look it over, the month of November, and then to bring it back to the village board for final action in December. That was my plan.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Mike?
I'm good, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay,
I'd still like to add something.
go ahead.
I agree with Trustee Sable with what she's saying. This is probably the most important thing we're going to have in Homer Glen. It is a corridor that will also help us with taxes here. So as it stands right now, and what Trustee Costa just asked, we still don't know what's in the final verbiage of the plan. And before we approve anything or stop you from being able to talk, we'd like to leave it open, so if there are some questions down the line, you still can ask them. It's not set in stone, because if we have 30 days to go over them to finalize everything, gives you guys an opportunity to say something of what your concerns are, and we can get them addressed. And that's it.
This is the public hearing. The public is hold on a second. Let me finish what I'm saying. This is the public hearing. The Housel Levine is going to take back the comments that were made. They're going to take back any additional comments that Trustee Sabo mentioned and Trustee Yukich mentioned, and they will come back with a proposed final draft in which you once again will have an opportunity to take a look at the final draft and speak if you'd like. Go, Mr. Schmidt, if you'd like to talk, go up to the microphone.
May I right now?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
We haven't closed the public hearing yet.
Okay. I didn't know if we were gonna run it or not run it. Anyway, my name is Bob Smith. My wife and I, Connie, have lived here for almost 47 years. We own Wheel Go Campus on 159th Street, as all of you know. The road will directly affect us. There is no doubt about it. Aqua Pool and us, we don't know. Epstein, Village, Trustees, we don't know. We have, just so you know, we have settled with the state of Illinois for their right of eminent domain. Everybody hear that word? Remember that one. All right, anyway, I'm not politicking there. All I
didn't think you were running for office.
all right. One of the things that I have a concern about, I really do, and I think all of you are aware of it, IDOT plan, and may I spell their name a little differently, IDIOT. Think about it. What they have done is they have endangered the lives of our residents and transients that are running from 365 to Orland Park to 290. I don't have a problem with a 45 mile an hour speed limit with a divided highway. However, we'll go Aqua Pool, etc., without a modelable million. Our customers, our semi-drivers, all of the equipment that is delivered to us and them, and anybody on the south side of Route 7 will have to go to Parker Road. Imagine a 72-foot semi turning in that highway. How many people are we going to kill for safety? Isn't that wonderful? That's why I call them IDIOT. It's not about safety. A person sitting down, engineer, never been to Homer Glen, but he's going to tell us how to survive. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know the mayor and a lot of you have done your best to convince them. In fact, the mayor and a few of us went and sat with them, the lady that was in charge. However, in the wisdom of our gentleman on the top of the heap, we got rid of her. Because she was a conservative. She was a good woman. She understood what small businesses and small communities needed. And that was their help. Now, I'm not done yet, Mayor, please. 3 more lines.
Okay. Because we're getting a little off subject here.
I know.
This is the corridor study, not the design of the road.
All right, anyway.
Okay.
The other issue that I have is in the drawing that I have, that IDOT supplied us, that road will be 28 foot from my front door. All right? Now, that's not too bad at 45, 59 miles an hour. All right, but now we're proposing putting a sidewalk there. Isn't that wonderful? Our children riding a bicycle and people driving 55 miles an hour who don't care about those children. Remember, it's all about safety. All right? Last but not least, I propose that in order to protect me my wife, our employees, and our customers, I ask for a very simple 20-foot guardrail. So that if nip-slip drivers, which we have a lot of them, would hit that and bounce off back into the road. And what did idiot say? Oh, I'm sorry, I know. What did they say? No. Now, my only answer was, I said, well, folks, if anyone is injured because of that road, and because you have not allowed safety procedures, I will encourage them to get a staff of lawyers and sue you for millions of dollars.
I'm sure they will, Bob, but we're getting way off point here, so wrap it up.
Well,
Let's
I
go.
just want to let
Okay.
everybody know that
All right.
I am
Let's-
upset, and I want, and I appreciate what you've done.
All right.
But you've got to be upset too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any further public comment for the 159th Street corridor study? Okay, then I'd like to call this meeting back to order. Oh, okay, step up to the microphone.
Mary Ann Bozen, 13810 Rock Bluff Way in Homer Glen. I think under this circumstances, I also believe that Margaret has it right, that we should look into this, because although this is 159th Street, I live on 143rd Street, and that's going to be a sucker to live with also, with IDOT. I mean, it's, or whatever. But there has to be more of a, people have to know what's going on in their area. And yes, it needs to be broadcast and have a big meeting like we did originally with this whole fiasco that has happened. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further comment on the 159th Street corridor study? Okay, then I would like to call this meeting back to order.
And I would like to have a consensus on my idea of continuing this public hearing. We have not been transparent enough. We have not
Well, then,
reached the community.
Just make an opinion.
Just make a motion to continue the public hearing
All right.
to the next meeting.
I would like to make a motion to continue the public hearing to the next meeting, and I also would like a publicity in the newspapers that will reach the public, and so that they have the ability to voice their opinion once more. We need to be transparent.
That's perfect. Okay, then the meeting is called back to order.
I
Okay,
second it.
there's a second by trustee
second.
Yukich. Please call the roll.
Trustee Kate Janice?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, then we will move into the next portion of this meeting, is reports and communications from the mayor and other trustees. I'll start it out. Everybody here is aware of the prevalence and effects of cancer. Whether we have dealt with cancer ourselves or someone or know someone who has battled or survived it, it sometimes hits close to home. In an effort to raise awareness in the fight against the disease, I will be proclaiming the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the village of Homer Glen. Residents are encouraged to wear pink throughout the month and talk with friends and loved ones about the importance of breast cancer screening, diagnosis, and treatment. The proclamation reads, whereas while considerable progress has been made in the fight against breast cancer, it remains the most commonly diagnosed cancer and the second leading cause of death among women in the United States. And whereas each year it is estimated that more than 220,000 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and more than 40,000 will die as a result of the disease. And whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual campaign to increase awareness about the disease, and whereas during this month, we reaffirm our commitment to support breast cancer research and to educate all citizens about its risk factors, detection, and treatment. And whereas we display pink ribbons and wear pink clothing to raise awareness, we also support those courageously fighting breast cancer and honor the lives lost to the disease. And whereas this October we recognize breast cancer survivors, those battling this disease, their families and friends, who are a tireless source of love, encouragement, and applaud the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for this deadly disease. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite all citizens in our community to prevent breast cancer deaths throughout increased education and regular screening. Now therefore, I, Jim Daly, Mayor of the Village of Homer Glen, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Homer Glen. Okay, that's the proclamation. Under Economic Development, Big R Store. For the past few months, village staff and I have been working with Central Big R Stores, Inc. to help them locate their first Chicago area suburban store here in the village of Homer Glen. Big R originated in 1964 with the first store opening in Watseka, Illinois. There are currently 16 Big R stores in central Illinois and northern Indiana. Big R sells farm supplies, pet supplies, clothing and footwear, tools and appliances, housewares, and many other items. Big R is hoping to purchase the former, Kmart property at 15830 Bell Road. They have plans to renovate the inside of the building and improve the site. Consequently, tonight's agenda includes several items related to Big R's future Homer Glen location. I want to welcome Big R to our community and thank them for choosing Homer Glen. They have been great to work with, and I know they're all very excited about the continued success of our economic development efforts here in Homer Glen. And then finally, under early voting, election time is right around the corner. Early voting started this week and continues to take place in the boardroom Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Friday, October 31st is the last day you can take advantage of early voting. Additionally, the voting will host a polling place in the boardroom from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the general election on Tuesday, November 4th. I encourage the residents to get out the vote. And that concludes the mayor's report. Let's start out on this end with Trustee DeVivo for reports tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. No report other than just say the next park meeting is Monday, the 27th at 6:30. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Suisse.
Thank you, Mayor. No report from the Homer Harvest Days Committee as our recap meeting has been postponed until next Tuesday, the 28th. I do want to wish everyone a safe Halloween next week and to thank the residents who braved the wind and the cold on Saturday to attend the children's Halloween party at the Trantina Farm. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. Trustee K. Janis.
Just really quick, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the corporate headquarters here in Homer Glen of Richard's Building Supply. The ribbon cutting was held this morning. They've done a beautiful job here in Homer Glen, and I wish them much success. They're a tremendous outfit, organization with, in my estimation, a touch of class. So welcome, Richard's Building Supplies. Also, I'd like to announce that the last CED meeting, Economic Development meeting, we have tentatively and planning dates for our business visits. We seek to visit our business owners, managers, and employees in our village that are providing services and goods to our residents and consumers. We are visiting them to seek to understand their needs, desires, and concerns as we could help them grow in this community so our community could grow with them. So, Mr. Mayor, that's it for my report.
Thank you, Trustee K. Janis. Trustee Sabo.
Thank you. I'd like to report for the Environment Committee, and the first topic is Homer Glen Lands Day, tree planting. Friday, October 31st at 10 a.m. is the date and time set for Homer Glen Lands Day tree planting at Stonebridge Park. We are pleased to share the following information: that the large Accolade elm has been donated by Tierling Nursery, and the public is invited to attend. Stargazing that took place last Friday, October 17th, experienced heavy cloud cover and the stars were not visible for viewing. However, 2 astronomers were there to greet the visitors who did attend. It was an educational opportunity to see the night sky on an iPad with a star chart that illustrated what would have been seen if the sky were clear. People were very interested, and there were a lot of details about the constellation that were shared. The Homer Glen EMA and members of the Environment Committee were in attendance until about 9:30 p.m. It was a cold night, and it was very enjoyable because we got to talk a long time with the number of groups that did come. There were about 20 or 25 people that did attend. And also, the Richards ribbon cutting was very interesting because once you're in the building, the environment that is outside becomes very, very visible with the views. And it's very inspirational. I would say what they have done with the outside and with the interior of the building is truly community and nature in harmony. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Yukich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be reporting for the Safety Committee and the Festival Committee. Safety Committee, we will have our meeting November 5th. We will be talking about the RV situation, speeding problems that we're still having. We'll get one addressed tonight. And just making sure that everyone does understand the first Saturday after Halloween, it's time change, so it's going to be dark early. Just watch out for the kids. As for the festival, last year we had a very good year. At the end of the day, we had a budget of $85,000, or $80,500. Actual expenses were $85,000. Actual receipts were $127,000. So after everything was said and done, there was a profit of $42,190.85, which will actually over the last. This is the 4th one now. First one, we didn't have a good one, but after that, we were about $90,000 ahead. So the money will be coming back to the village so we can do good things for all the residents. Other than that, that's my report.
Thank you, Trustee Yukich. Trustee Costa?
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, does the treasurer have a report?
Yes, Mayor, I have the Treasurer's Report of Cash and Investments at September 30, 2014. It's the 5th month of fiscal 2015. It shows cash and investments in the general fund of $4,690,937.29. The motor fuel tax fund had a cash and investment balance of $2,408,101.87. The park fund had a balance of $2,316,822.56. The debt service fund had cash and investments of $1,111,955.16. And the capital project type funds had a total cash and investments of $21,841,429.75. Within that number represents the capital improvement project bond fund, which had a balance of $15,481,328.14. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Does the clerk have a report?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Does the village attorney have a report?
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
How about any public safety officials? Okay. How about the village manager?
Thank you, Mayor, Board. A couple items. First, Director Salamovich is going to give you an update on the construction project first. So, Mike, you go ahead.
Just a brief update on the Hunt Club Meadows subdivision. As you know, we're going to be completing the construction in that, or the public improvements in that development. The contractor is scheduled to begin the work either later this week or beginning of early next week. Tomorrow we will be meeting with the contractor and doing the final markup of whatever work needs to be done out there. So progress, we are moving forward with construction.
Very good. Also, just a little bit update from something you approved at the last meeting. Out of the 6 Heroes Trail benches that are available for public donation, 2 have already been spoken for, which is great. So we have 4 left. The Manning family has picked one to dedicate to someone, and then the Homer Glen Foundation has. We also have 2 other that are considering. So if anybody in the public is interested in our bench 50/50 program, please contact us here at Village Hall. Also, in terms of the extension of the public hearing, what we'll do is, staff will do is we'll do our typical size ad that we've done in the past for different public meetings. We'll try to really direct people to, the plan, the 159th Street Corridor Plan has been up on the website now for about 3 or 4 months, and it's downloadable, and there's also a copy here, and there's a copy at the library, and we'll really try to direct people to, go to those sites to take a look at them, and try to explain in the ad that the 159th Street Corridor Study is really not about the 159th Street IDOT improvement program, just so that they understand that this is about a market analysis, this is about land use, this is about things like that, not about ingress and egress and stuff like that. So we'll try to find a way to explain that very simply to everybody, and we'll get that ad in the paper for hopefully for next week. Also, this past week, Attorney Cirque Fake-U and staff member Scott Chance and I were able to walk through the Woodbine buildings with Mr. and Mrs. Ludwig, and it was we all wanted to do it, but it was at their request, and the purpose of it was to make sure that everybody had the same understanding from when the purchase happened about what was staying in the building and what was going with the Ludwigs. And it was a great walkthrough, it was a great tour. Everything was exactly as we had originally planned. And Trustee Yukich had mentioned that they have an auction coming up. I think actually they're going to have a couple auctions, but the first one here I think is on the 28th. I think you said 28th, right? One of the items that they did make a request as we went through is they wanted to know if they could go ahead and take the bar with them. The bar is a built-in place bar. It's a fixture to the building. I did talk to obviously our architects at Williams, and Williams said that it's their opinion that the bar would ultimately be demolished because it sits, it's not going to be a bar 1, and the bar was built very far into the room. The Ludwigs say that originally when it was built, they were a little upset because it's so far back from the building, so it takes up a lot of space. I think the Ludwigs want it for sentimental reasons. I think they're planning on, hopefully, if you say okay to it, they're planning on dividing it up and having part of it for one of their sons and other family members and things. So I told them that I would talk to you about it and ask if you're okay with it. My only understanding with Jim, if you were okay with it, is that we would expect them to remove the bar in a way that obviously would not damage the floor underneath. And he was certainly agreeable to that if you were willing to let them do that. So, Mayor, I just needed to get a feel from the board if they were comfortable with
in my opinion, it's personal property. I mean, it's like the refrigerators he's taken, the stoves he's taken, and certain things he's taken. It's his bar.
Yeah, it's the only thing that from the original purchase that wasn't, okay, we're going to take the bar. It's the one thing. So I appreciate them asking and just want to make sure that everybody's
Does
okay
everybody
with it.
in concurrence to let him have that bar?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
I do have one question, though. Is there any water or electrical that's in the bar that would be capped off?
Well, that will all have to be done, and we talked a little bit about that. He understands that. That's part of my comment about nothing could be left that would damage the floor.
People injured,
right.
Exposed.
Right.
Okay, so we don't have a problem with that.
Mayor, thank you. I appreciate that. And the final item I have, I just wanted to, 2 items, sorry. In my weekly report this week, just today, we got the next version from Williams Architects of the future Village Hall planning documents. It just came in today. So you have that in my report that was emailed to you, I think, at the end of the day today. I think Kathy got it out right before she left. So you have that. And also, there was a request made at the meeting for a list of, at the last meeting we had of the committee and the village board, a list of all the existing staff members, their offices, and their square footage. So that's part of it too. It's part of the item that was emailed out to you. Also, and I think they're still looking for a date for the next meeting, so as soon as we get a date back from them, I'll let everybody know about that. Finally, just want to, again, congratulate Janie. Janie's been doing some great things, marketing the community. There's a lot of material that we use to try to attract wonderful retailers like Big R. And this is attached to my report this week. This is one of the many documents that Janie is putting together that she uses when she goes out and meets with people to try to attract them to Homer Glen. So you'll see that in my report this week. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, the next portion of this meeting would be public comment. Thanks, Joe. The first speaker would be Dave, 301-0548.
Good evening, folks. My name is Dave Freedy. I live at 12749 Oak Valley Trail here in Homer Glen, and I'm here tonight representing the Oak Valley Homeowners Association. The appearance of the Central Big R store on the agenda prompts me to remind you that the Oak Valley subdivision continues to receive more than our fair share of surface water runoff from this property and others, which are uphill from many of our homes. You will please recall that we were successful, we, Oak Valley homeowners and the village, in completing a dredging of our water detention area during late 2013. I'm pleased to report that's still working very, very well. Before this project, we had severe home and street flooding during any of the 100-year rains that we have experienced over the last 20 years. This revamped detention area seems to be working quite well, considering it's only phase one of the overall plan. To add to our concerns, 159th Street is about to be improved, which will send more silt and water down the hill into our subdivision until that project is completed and the storm sewers are installed. We are experiencing what I consider to be serious erosion from this surface water, forcing several homeowners to install retaining walls at a cost of $20,000 to $30,000 each just to maintain their backyards. We would ask that you do not lose sight of our problems with surface water as we move forward. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dave. The next speaker would be Stan, 15732 West 143rd Street.
Good evening. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Stan Polaris, and the property for which I applied for a variance is at 15732 West 143rd, and I'm here to answer any questions if there are any.
Can you speak into the
Good evening. My name is Stan Polaris, and I'm here to introduce myself regarding a variance for which I applied at 15732 West 143rd. I'll be glad to answer any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like, do I have it right? Gene, 200 North, Ernest Grove? Ernest Grove?
Gerald Sherman, our CFO.
Oh, yeah. It's Big R.
Okay. Why don't, if you guys would like to say something in public comment, feel free to say something in public comment. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Jerry Gibbs. I'm the CEO of Central Big R Stores. With me this evening, our CFO, Gerald Sherman, and our facilities manager, Jeff Heim. We're here tonight to talk to you about our proposed project to refurbish and bring back to life the old Kmart building. We're here to ask for your help in getting this job done. As the mayor mentioned previously, this will be our first store in the greater Chicagoland area. We've done our marketing research. We think it's going to be a good store for us. We think it's going to do very well, but it's a little unknown. You don't know till you swing the door in a retail store. We have good plans to make the building look nice inside and out. We're going to provide quite a few jobs. We're going to bring back the sales tax revenue you lost when Kmart closed. We should be able to substantially increase those sales dollars. I think the staff has been able to talk to leaders from other communities where we have locations, and they will tell you that we are good corporate citizens. We like to become part of the communities that we are in, and we look forward to being here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, would anybody else from your group like to say anything, or did you sum it up pretty much? Okay. So that would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, okay. The next speaker would be Michelle Coakley.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Coakley. I'm the chamber president here in Homer Glen. I was asked to come tonight to be the voice of our 250 members. We're here once again asking for your consideration and allowing flexibility and creativity and signage here for our businesses. Of course, the Big R is here before you with a number of variances that seem to be common for a project this size. And as the chamber members have voiced, we are here to ask that you approve their variance for their electronic sign. Obviously, what we love about that is we get to put, from what I understand, community events on that sign as well. It does meet size requirements and it doesn't flash, from what I understand. So we, again, just as a chamber and our members, ask that you approve the variance and show the Big R how excited we are and willing to come, that they're willing to come to our community, providing us with a destination shopping experience. And so please let them see how our community welcomes business with open arms. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, the next speaker would be Jennifer Harris.
Good evening. I am here to request that we have a speeding problem. I live on 139th Street between Lamont Road and 355. And I went through this 3 years ago and had a petition signed by all my neighbors and got no results. They did put some signs up that said, "What's the hurry?" which worked for about a week, and they put a speed counter out, which determined that the average speed on our street is 46 miles an hour. We have no sidewalks, we have no streetlights. You know, our kids can't trick or treat in our neighborhood because somebody's gonna get killed. My neighbor's cat was killed the other night by a speeding driver. This is a huge problem in our neighborhood. With the road closure for Lamont Road, where you can't go southbound, we are experiencing a lot more traffic. We've had semis trying to do U-turns because they get stuck, basically. So we're requesting that there's stop signs be put up at Prairie Hill Drive and Cokes Road, and especially Cokes Road because Cokes Road is the school bus stop. One of my other neighbors was telling me the other day that he watched somebody take that corner so quickly that they ended up in the ditch. So we just want to put this in front of the board, and hopefully we can make it happen. And I've spoken to you, George, and anything we need to do as residents to get this rolling, we are more than willing to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, you want to say a couple words about that? This is the Highway Commissioner, Mike DeVivo.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Yeah. I'll go last.
Okay, and you would be Ron Rubin then?
No, Ron Aubin.
Aubin.
Yeah, I live across the street from the Harrises.
Okay.
I'm the one whose cat got killed. That's not why I'm here, though. It's, simply, I have 3 teenagers, and they have a child that's 7, and there's a lot of other kids in the area, and people do fly down 139th Street constantly. My driveway's like 50 yards from Cokes Road, and people will turn the street there, and they'll get up to 50 miles an hour plus from Cokes Road, which, like I said, it's not even 50 yards away. So my motion, what I would like is for caution signs for children, that there are children at play. I think that would make a big difference because, I mean, it's a neighborhood and people are just looking at it as a quick jaunt through, and it's not just that. It's a neighborhood that has children. And also, if, like I had spoken with Cameron today and another time, we have had more sheriff cars, police cars coming down and like checking for speeders. But if you have any of the signs, like the trailers that come out and says watch your speed, and maybe, I don't know if you have the ones that cameras that could, you know, could get people's license plate numbers on them, because it's just, I mean, they're flying. And I work out of my garage, so I'm home every day. Right now, I had a double major surgery on my back, so I am home every single day. And people, just from the stop sign of Coates Road, like I said, they're flying. They're getting up to 45, 50, sometimes plus. And of course, I yell. I'll sit close to the end of my driveway where I got walking my dog, and people are going so fast, like they're not even looking. Not at all. We need more signage up there, and like she said, the stop sign over at the next street, and street lights. I mean, anything that would help.
Okay, well, thank you. Mike, you want to go ahead?
Mr. Mayor, trustees, I'm well aware of the issues on 139th Street, and one of the things we should know that 139th Street and Coates Road, that is the path they're taking from Archer Avenue. Once they go down 139th Street, once they make a right-hand turn on Coates Road, now they're in an unincorporated area. So we're working on this together, you know, and it's an issue we should address. I know there's a number of people that want signage put up, but signage just is not a way to control traffic. With all due respect for putting up signs for children, there's a number of reasons why we don't say be careful or slow children playing. It's because it just gives people a false sense of security that if you put a sign up there that says slow children playing, then suddenly the street is safer than it was before. And that's let
them.
And the situation there is that when I've talked to people and they see that signs are up in one place, they'll say, well, I have children in my street. Are my children any less important than theirs? So then we'd have to put signs up everywhere there were children in the street, and they would have no effect in this community. They'd have no effect at all.
You got your chance to speak. Go ahead.
One of the things we've discussed, well, first of all, one of the things to do to really keep the people from driving down the street is you can't legally prevent people from driving down the street. So what you could do is, one of the things you do is to encourage them to stay off by making other roads better to travel on, such as putting up a big intersection with traffic lights to make it easier to flow. So once that intersection is complete, people will feel much more comfortable, and it'll be a much better drive to go down Lamont Road and stay off yours. The traffic you're experiencing now is temporary, and hopefully in the next week or two we can open up the southbound lanes on Lamont Road, and that should alleviate a lot of it. Now, in a conference call that I had earlier today with your staff, Cam Davis and Mike Salamowitz, we collectively discussed the speed limit on there, which I believe is 30 miles an hour. Okay. 30 miles an hour is the speed limit for you to use on an arterial road. 139th Street beyond there in the last few years, maybe in the last 10 or 15 years, has had a number of houses that has been built on it. So what we've thought is that perhaps if we do a study and do a count of the driveway cuts along that street, it may qualify for a lower speed limit to put on. So Mike was going to look into that. We're going to see what's happened over the next few years, and we'll consider lowering the speed limit on there. And then, of course, we'd encourage that with enforcement with the new speed limit. So it's something we've discussed, something we've collectively will look into.
Thanks, Mike. Mark, in the meantime, if you can keep your eye on it, the construction season is winding down. One of the lanes that will be finished by the end of the construction season. It'll alleviate some of the congestion, but if you can sort of, get over there, or get one of your guys over there, that'd be great.
Mayor, just so you know, they have had increased enforcement these past couple weeks, and that will continue for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Any questions?
Yes. I have one.
Sure. Go ahead, Trustee Yugich.
I've been talking to Ms. Harris for a couple weeks, and we've been discussing this for a couple weeks about getting some stop signs over there. And I know you tried getting together with people that are doing the street, but they said it's not worth their while right now. It's
well,
quick.
What you're just talking about now is a temporary stop sign, and what I discussed the temporary stop sign with is with the traffic control and the engineers who are working on the intersection, And what their report to me that would be beyond the scope of their project, and therefore they would not want to participate in that.
Okay.
If it was part of their project, we could have requested it through the engineers who are controlling traffic through that construction zone. And that's when I said, no, they're not going to do it.
Okay. Well, all right.
A perfect example is on 139th Street, we put up temporary stop signs. And that was done by the contractors and the engineers because that is within the realm of their construction zone. That's why it happened there, and they didn't want to address the issue on 139th, and I believe it's Prairie Hill Drive?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
All right. My next question was, that's when I discussed with you about the village stepping up to the plate and doing it, and you informed me that I should talk to Mike Salamowitz, which I did talk to Mike Salamowitz about it. And, you know, I do understand that the temporary sign can be deceiving sometimes, but their traffic tripled, quadrupled, or maybe 6, 7 times of what it normally is. And they also had a case where they put toys out there just so that people would be able to see the toys to slow down, and they stole the toys. So the whole point is, you know, all you're asking, if you make it harder for the driver to go through there and see something where they have to stop, they're not saving time anymore, they find another way to go. So with it, does anyone have a firm time of when this will be done?
Well, that would be weather. We meet with Mike and I meet with the contractors every other week on this because of its importance and because of its impact on the community. You know, we're really trying to work with them and get a handle on them and to make it as easy as possible so they're very successful and they can get this intersection open. We've even encouraged them to work on Saturdays, and they have. But as far as a timeline, I'm relatively confident that by the first week of November, traffic will be open in both directions, and that'll alleviate a lot of the frustrated traffic that they're getting now.
Okay. Then my last question is, why do we get this?
It was just in case, you know, in
For
case there was.
discussion purposes,
Yeah.
just so you could, we weren't sure that everybody was aware of the neighborhood, so we wanted to give you just a layout so everybody would have it.
Well, I understand what they're saying. They're on a street that's dark, has no curbs, has one stop sign, and everyone's using it to take a shortcut. They're not paying attention to anything except for them to get their butts home. So it's, if we're going to look into the speed limit, that should have been dropped a long time ago because it is not an arterial, and they were here before, and now they have worse problems. So I find it very difficult to tell them, no, we're not going to do anything about it right now. If this thing could be done by November 1st, it would pretty much go back to normal, but that's still a week and a half away. So,
you know, we don't want to make any promises. You know, the moment I say I'm confident that this will happen or I hope this will happen, then if we get a couple of bad weather days. We were looking last week of clear weather for the next 14 days. Now they're calling for rain next Tuesday and Wednesday. So you can see how easy it is for this to back up on us. Hopefully, there'll be curbs poured tomorrow on Lamont Road, on the eastern half of the road on both sides. Curbs will be poured. Of course, that takes a little time for that concrete to cure. So they should be paving back there the second half of that road at the beginning of next week, again, weather permitting. Once that happens, they can look into the intersection and see if they can open up both ways. But they won't know if they can do that until they get it paved, until they look at it. So we're somewhat confident. We were talking a while ago that they were hoping to have it open just before Thanksgiving. Now they're saying the first week of November. So because of the favorable weather and the blue sky, we seem to be moving that up, and hopefully we can do better.
All right. Could we do this then? If Lieutenant Fish could please make sure that the police do monitor a lot more, could you also put up the radar signs that flash when people are speeding so they at least see?
You know that I could do. You know what, that's something I could do, and yes, I will.
Could we do it both ways?
Well, you know, the thing of it is we could do it now, but we'll be taking them down where they are at Bingston's, and you know the amount of people crossing there, but, and that's the problem with that. I only have 2.
All right, could we take one at least from there? and move it over, or is it possible we could borrow one from another village?
Let me see if I can get something from somebody else, because I have them up there for that reason, and I have every season, and that tends to help the
And it
traffic
makes
there.
perfect sense, because you've got kids constantly walking across the street, but I still feel that we owe them some help, no matter, and I'm sure they'll appreciate whatever it is, because if it's only gonna be another week and a half, if you put that up there, I think it'll make a huge improvement.
I'll see if I can borrow some from other communities. I do talk with them regularly. Other people have them. I'll see if I can get some.
Thank you, Mike. Mark, I think the answer is people that speed are gonna speed. They're not following the rules. Law enforcement's the answer to this. Get a couple guys over there and make sure they understand that we're watching it. Anything you can do to help the thing, Mike, that'd be great.
I'm sure within the next couple of weeks, we'll take a look at the lowering the speed, and
Okay.
I don't think that should be that complicated an issue.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, trustee
Just one
Pastor.
question, Mike. On the aerial view, it shows at 139th and Cokes Road, someone wrote in there with arrow stop signs. There's no stop signs there now?
There's stop signs going north and south, but not east and west.
East and west, got it. And that's a bus stop for school?
Yes.
Like I said, there's a lot of children around there. I don't see how a sign like that wouldn't help
Yeah.
caution children.
Yeah, because go,
Mike, okay, okay, hold on.
We could put up a bus stop sign.
Okay, great.
that would be great.
Great.
That we
Okay.
can put up.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're talking about going
Fantastic.
west, just east of, right at Cokes Road, correct?
Yes, we could put up a
Because
stop
that'll
sign.
stop everybody from
But
just
we do have,
flying
I
around.
think, I'm relatively confident we have that in stock.
Okay,
A bus stop, school bus stop.
all right. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
The next speaker would be Angelica Comperda.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, trustees. My name is Angelica Comperda, and I'm here with my husband. We're the new owners of the property on 139th, 15811. If you have any questions, we're here to, hopefully that you'll grant us the extension for the variance. If you have any questions for me or my husband, we're here for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker would be, somebody printed their name, no address. It says BGM. Well, I'll call the next one, and then if anybody wants to speak on it, they can come up and speak on it, whatever it was about. Next speaker would be Bob Schmidt. Bob, you out there?
I'll make it great, Mayor.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Well, you know me better than that. One thing, I want to thank all of you for being here. It's very important that you folks be a part of this community, not just for one issue, but for all the issues. These people are wonderful. They love their community, but they need you to support it. And I'm not saying that they don't make a mistake. That's our job to find the mistake. All right? Is that right? All right. Now, I want to congratulate our police department. They have done a wonderful job. There have been some issues. Now, relative to 159th Street, it's not about my business. The unlaudable medium that the mayor and a lot of you have protested, IDOT has agreed to reduce it, but it is unlaudable. So, in that respect, the people who lose are not only the business, but the village. They lose sales tax revenue. That's how we run. Granted, this village is very, very well set up. And that's because of conservatism. And all of you have done that. You have watched your pennies, and you made them turn into dollars. I appreciate that. All of us appreciate it. And Mr. Mayor, I don't know why you're wearing glasses.
I can't see if I don't wear them. These are readers and these are long distance.
give it a little color on the hair. I know your wife would like it.
All right, thanks, Bob. The next speaker would be Hashem, 12147 West 159th Street. Hashem? Okay. Then the next speaker would be Sue from Sandbox 159 in Wilcook Road.
I thought I was signing in.
Oh, okay. That's all right. That's all right. Okay. Because I couldn't read one of the names, did anybody have any comment that I couldn't read the name on?
I really don't need a mic. I used to teach 8th grade, so I speak. I was just going to suggest, is it possible, I mean, would it be an option for these people on 139th to put portable speed bumps at strategic?
That's something they would have to talk with the highway commissioner about. So.
Just slow down. It worked at BMO Harris.
Oh.
Slow that down.
Okay, thank you. All right, then that concludes public comment. The next portion of the meeting is, let's see here, where are we at? Public comment. Legislation and action items. Then, is there a motion to authorize the village board to accept and receive the 2013-2014 village audit?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee K. Janis. Is there any discussion?
I do have a comment.
Go ahead.
According to the packet, the report and letter from this firm was dated October 8th, and I was wondering why the report wasn't handed out earlier than Friday night, so we would have had a little more time to review. I mean, even though, I mean, that would have been a good thing.
I think actually the most honest answer is that this is what we have historically done every year. So
No,
if
the report wasn't available until Thursday. That's a representation letter. Their obligations run through that date. Their testings run through that date.
Oh, so you didn't receive it until
And then their
Thursday.
production runs from that date till last Thursday when it was available.
Right. So if it's the will of the majority of the board that you need more time, then we can take that into consideration next year and then in future years.
Okay, does that answer your question, trustee Suisse?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then with that being said, Ed McCormick, oh, did we call roll yet? No.
Did you? I didn't call roll on accepting the audit.
We did?
No, you did not.
Did not. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janis?
Aye.
Motion carries. Ed McCormick, audit partner with MPS, will be reporting on the audit financial statements and answer any questions. Mr. McCormick, please begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor. And good evening, Board. What I'd like to do is go through and hit some of the highlights in the audit report. If there are questions, please feel free to stop and I'll attempt to answer them. I also have Christine Malone, who is actually the in-charge auditor, here with me tonight, so any of the difficult questions she gets. So, but this is a report for the year ended April 30th of 14, your most recent year. It's a 77-page report. Starts with the introduction section, which is the first part of that is a transmittal letter, basically giving an overview of the village, introduction, talking about some of the economic conditions, some of your major initiatives, just a flavor of what has transpired and also what's going on going forward with the village. Gives the reader of the statement kind of a point of reference. Then there's the Certificate of Achievement in Excellence in Financial Reporting, which was awarded on last year's report. That was the 12th consecutive award for the village. You've gotten it every year that there's been an audit, and this report will also be submitted, and I would expect that you should get the 13th certificate for this 14 audit. There's a list of the principal officials and board, an organization chart, and then we get to the financial section, which is our contribution to the cause. On page Roman numeral 11 is the independent auditor's report, and what the attempt to again explain to the readers here is that these are the financial statements for the year ended April of 30th of 14. That your responsibility is the preparation and presentation of the information in the audit, and it's our responsibility to go through and perform tests, look at documentation, and test transactions in order to form our opinion. And I'm pleased to say that very last sentence on that line is that we believe that the audit evidence we obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion, and that opinion's on the following page. And we feel that these statements do fairly present in all material respects the financial position
and the result of operations as of before the year ended April 30th of 14. That's what's referred to now as an unmodified opinion. That's the highest level of assurance that we as auditors can provide on a set of statements, and you as a board should be very pleased to be receiving that. There was one change in some of the accounting pronouncements this last year, that a new statement came out, and the way that debt issuance costs were handled had to be changed, and that's reflected in these statements. But I mean, it's just a new way of handling things that are considered generally accepted accounting principles. So it was nothing that you were doing that needed to be corrected. It was just a change in the manner of presentation. There's some other information that's included in the report. There's some required information, as well as other, a lot of 10-year trend, which makes this the comprehensive annual financial report. Basically, what we're saying is that anything that we could audit, we have, and we feel is appropriate within the report. There's some information in this management discussion analysis, which is the next section, that talks about what's going on in the current year. And obviously, until the year's over, we're not able to express an opinion on that. But we did read the letter, and we feel it's appropriate in conjunction with the audit. So all in all, a clean bill of health. I think you should be pleased with the results of the audit. We as the audit firm are happy to be able to make this presentation. Moving on then into that management discussion analysis, this is kind of, I describe as the kind of the story behind the numbers, gives you some of the flavor of, the numbers tell you, where you stood or what happened this past year, but this tells you why in a lot of cases. Starts out with the financial highlights, that your assets exceeded your liabilities, which in the government arena is called your net position, by a little over $42 million. Of this, almost $2 million was restricted for highways, and almost $2 million was restricted for debt use. From a fund perspective, which is how you adopt your budgets and monitor the activities, that you had an ending fund balance of almost about $31,496,000, and that there actually was an increase in your net position this past year. The next couple pages talk about the different funds that are being used. There's a comparison on page Roman numeral 16 between this year and last year of where your your net position or the assets and liabilities. And you can see there was a little bit of an increase in the assets, a decrease in the liabilities. So the net difference, it's kind of good news on both fronts. Your assets went up, your liabilities went down. So your equity in the business world did increase. On page Roman numeral 18 is a summary of the revenues and the expenses do include depreciation, which we'll touch on when we get to the notes in the financial statement. But you see the revenues were down this year, and primarily that's due to the change in the way the sales tax was being applied by the state of Illinois. That was we were down about $950,000 overall in revenues, and again, primarily because of the sales tax adjustment. As far as where the dollars are being spent, public safety accounted for 42% of your expenditures, and that's primarily the contract with the county for the police protection. There's a couple charts that break down where the dollars were spent, and then finally it gets into some discussion regarding the budgetary highlights. And I'd just like to point out, and there are budgetary statements in there, but you were below budget in all of your categories, and actually your revenues came in higher than anticipated. So you adopted a very conservative plan. And fortunately, the revenues, even though they were decreased over the prior year, still came in higher than anticipated, but the expenditures stayed below what you set out to spend in the plan. Capital outlay is also discussed. That's on page Roman numeral 22. There's the increase there is the biggest change is in the land acquisitions regarding the park properties, a little bit about debt, and then talking about what's going on in the current year. So if you just read that part of the audit, I think you get a pretty good flavor of what has transpired. The financial statements begin on the numbered pages. Pages 1 and 2 are what are called the entity-wide statements, where all the funds are combined together, the capital assets are added, the long-term debt is added. It's more of the long-term perspective, more like a business approach. As you can see, that this year still had an increase in net position. It wasn't quite as large as last year, but you still did add to the equity of the village. The actual fund financial statements, which are more a short-term perspective, begin on pages 3 and 4. You start out with a balance sheet, and then on pages 6 and 7 is a summary of the revenues and the expenditures. And you can see that the overall for the year, there was a decrease in the fund balances of about $2.7 million, but that does include $3.3 million to spend out of the capital projects. And that's the nature of a capital project fund, is you collect dollars, and then as the projects are going along, they spend down. So from an operational standpoint, you actually had an increase in the fund balances. Just a couple other statements to touch on quickly on pages 9 and 10 is that summary of the budget for the general fund. And as I mentioned, revenues actually came in $186,000 higher than anticipated, and your expenditures actually were $669,000 below what was anticipated. And again, some of that has to do with some of the timing of capital outlays and others, but overall, all areas you did come in under budget, which I think is very important, because that's really where you have more control over is the expenditures than on the revenue side. The next area of the statements get into the notes of the financial statement. They begin on page 17, but there's just a couple notes I'd like to draw to your attention as you're reading the audit. On page 23, talks about your deposits and investment. Everything was either insured or collateralized, so you were very safe with your investments, and anything rated had a AAA rating, and were fairly short in maturity. The interest rates right now are so low, it's not worth going out long, so you might as well make sure that you're safe. A little discussion regarding capital assets on the following pages, and then the debt discussion begins on page 26 and shows what the future maturities will be, assuming no additional debt. All debt will be paid off by 2023, and the good news is there's no big balloon payment coming, so there's not going to be a spike in your debt payments anytime in the future. The balance of the notes talks about your fund balance, involvement with the IMRF retirement program, and then also regarding insurance and again that change in accounting principle that I mentioned before. There's some required supplemental information, again more related to the retirement program, individual fund statements, and I won't touch on any of those unless there's a question. And then the final section, which I think really is adds to the readability and the understanding of the audit, are that statistical information where you have a lot of 10-year trend information showing where the village has gone over the past 10 years, talking about where your revenue sources, where your debt, some of the overlapping debt, so that a taxpayer can get an idea of what the total debt that they're faced, not just yours, but all the governments in the area. There's some statistical information regarding economic and demographic information, principal employers, as well as just general information regarding activities within the village. So I think for someone that comes in to look at what's the village all about, I think one of the prime sources of information, because it's the comprehensive report that you've taken the steps to do, is a real good source to start with, and then from there you can build on. But a reader of the statement should get a real good idea of how the village has been operating, and the reason that you do have these fund balances, that you are staying within your budget, and as mentioned earlier, taking the conservative approach. So. Hopefully quickly enough, that was a summary of the audit. Are there any questions that I can answer regarding the report?
I'd just like to thank you and ask you a question. As far as all the villages you prepare audits for and what have you, how do we rank? I'm hearing good things, but are we at the top of the list here?
Well, I was going to say, you're in a tough environment that you're still able to increase your fund balances, increase your reserve. From a debt standpoint, you probably have one of the lowest debt liabilities for the surrounding villages. I'd say relative to the others, you're doing very well.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Ed? Okay, thank you, Ed.
Okay, well, I appreciate the opportunity. If there are questions that come up after you've had a chance to go through it in more detail, please, through John or the mayor, or give me a call. If we can answer it, I'd be more than happy to. So again, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. This would be J2. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-057, an ordinance granting a variance to permit a reduction of the required minimum front yard setback, and a variance to permit a reduction of the required minimum lot width frontage for the property commonly known as 15732 West 143rd Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, Stan and Anna Plaza, as recommended by the Plan Commission. First by, who was it done, or first by Trustee Yukich, second by Trustee DeVivo. Is there any questions, any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sable?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J3. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-058, an ordinance amending section 13 of ordinance number 14-021, providing for the control of alcoholic liquor within the Village of Homer Glen? It is understood that the number of Class B liquor licenses, restaurant and bar, will decrease by one, effective November 18, 2014.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Aye, second.
Second by, who was that down there? Trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J4. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-059, an ordinance amending section 13 of ordinance number 14-021, providing for the control of alcohol liquor within the Village of Homer Glen? It is understood that the number of Class B liquor license restaurant bar will increase by one.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee Yukic. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J5. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-060, an ordinance assigning an available Class B liquor license restaurant bar to Garcia Hospitality, Inc., DBA Pepe's Mexican Restaurant, 14853 Founders Crossing, Homer Glen, Illinois?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa, second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. I understand that the new owners, Antonia and Paloma Garcia, are here this evening. If you'd like to stand so we can recognize who you are. These are our new and the future owners of Pepe's.
Well, as you know, my name is Antonio Garcia, and I will thank you, every one of yours, for your help. And we hope to meet every one of yours when we take over completely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We wish you all good luck. Okay, this would be J6. Is there a motion to approve the bid proposal from Acres Group in the amount of $15,105 for the Public Parkway Tree Planting Program Fall 2014?
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo.
Aye, second.
Second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I just have a quick
Go ahead.
question. No, I just want to compliment Ms. Stylen. I think she did a tremendous job on the RFP for the tree, for this tree planting. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J7. Is there a motion to grant an extension of the existing variance permits for 15811 West 139th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, Comparada? It is understood that the first extension is for an additional 180-day period beginning on October 23rd, 2014, and continuing through and including April 20th, 2015.
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo.
Second.
Second by trustee, who is that?
Costa.
Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J8. Is there a motion to authorize the mayor to send a letter to the Illinois Department of Transportation agreeing to pay for the segment of sidewalk on the south side of 159th Street from Cedar Road to the Village of Homer Glen boundary, which is currently located just west of the D'Onofrio's Banquet Hall facility, approximately 1,600 linear feet. It is understood that this segment is not currently located within Homer Glen's corporate limits, but it's within the boundary agreement limits. It is also understood that this segment of sidewalk would cost approximately $11,500.
I so move.
That was trustee Sabo?
Yes.
First by trustee Sabo.
Second.
Second by trustee DeVivo. I'm going to, well, what do you call it? Is there any discussion?
I have a
Clerk?
comment.
Go,
No, I have a comment.
go ahead.
I just don't feel comfortable spending our taxpayers' money outside of the village, and I would not be in support of continuing it.
Okay. Trustee Sabo, I think you had something you want to say?
Yes, I do agree with that. I just think this opens the door for more spending outside of the village corporate limits. Why have taxpayers pay for the extension of the sidewalk in an unincorporated area? Why put the burden on these current taxpayers? Why not have it paid by developers when new growth and development takes place?
Okay.
I'm not done yet.
Go ahead.
We should be thinking about recouping from future developers like other municipalities do. And I would like to address this next question to our attorney. Do we have statutory authority to make improvements in an unincorporated territory before annexation takes place?
Yeah, you do.
And if so, we do?
Yes.
And if so, why would we want to do this?
That's a policy question. I can only answer the law question.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Sabo, before we vote on this, I'm going to have the Director of Services, Mike Salamovich, explain what's going on here. There are some extending circumstances why we would do this. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, initially, obviously, as the board knows, as part of the 159th Street Improvement Project, the Village of Homer Glen is going to be paying for a bike trail on the north side of 159th Street and the sidewalk on the south side of 159th Street within the current village boundaries. Initially, the Homer Township Highway Department was looking into the possibility of basically matching what we're doing in the Village of Homer Glen in the unincorporated areas, doing the sidewalk on the south side, doing the bike trail on the north side. He's also going to be, or the Highway Department is also going to be installing streetlights at Cedar Road. Due to the costs, once the costs came in for those, they were probably higher than what was anticipated. So the Highway Department is still going to do the bike trail on the north side of 159th Street, but the funds right now are probably not there to do the sidewalk on the south side of 159th Street. So basically what IDOT has done is they've approached both Homer Glen and Lockport and asked, if you want to continue during this time when they're going to be installing the sidewalks and installing the bike trail, did we want to go ahead and pay for this section of sidewalk that's not currently within the village boundaries, but is within our boundary agreement? Lockport, as I said, they have contacted Lockport. Lockport is supposed to be getting back to IDOT. The one thing to remember that IDOT, there is that special payment program where IDOT is paying 80% of this cost. So, if that's something to be considered, if whether or not we want to, extend this sidewalk all the way to the village boundaries, or future boundaries or not.
Thank you, Mike. I like the split there as far as 80% them paying and us 20% paying. Now is at the other end, Lockport's on the south side of the street.
Correct.
There's going to be a gap in between that, correct?
Right now, between Cedar Road and Gauger Road, Lockport, per the boundary agreements, that Lockport is on the south side. So depending on whether or not they are going to go forward with, the sidewalk, we don't know that as of yet.
Well, maybe the answer to this one is that if Lockport isn't going to put their sidewalk in out to the end of their boundary agreement, and it doesn't create a gap, maybe we don't want to do it and expend the money. But you go back to the financial side of it, 80-20 is a pretty good break. I would opt to go with the 80-20. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just a question. To the east of this, there's going to be sidewalk up to that point, correct?
Correct. As part of our agreement that we've already approved, we are going to be putting sidewalk up to basically the end of Denolfo. So basically where this sidewalk would start on the eastern end. And then like I said, this section would go basically from Denolfo's then to basically Cedar Road.
Okay. Yeah, although it is out of the village and, you know, it is in township, at least this will connect a few more businesses all the way to Cedar Road, which includes a gas station and a bank, so.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have a big,
One of-
especially, I like the 80/20 also.
That's correct. One of the reasons why when Mike came to me and talked to you about it, we talked, just from a practical standpoint, obviously the vacant parcels, you can have development do that, but the business that's at the corner, typically, existing businesses aren't the same as vacant parcels that are being developed. Just if we had a developer do the 2 vacant parcels, but then the village decided at a later date to do just the corner, just the existing business one, it would be more than the 11,500 because the state would require that we pick up the full 100%. So at 11,500, we're getting the whole section and it will be complete all the way to the intersection, versus probably spending more than that just on the corner piece at some point in the future.
Trustee DeVivo, go ahead.
There's a couple comments. I'm all about safety here, and you do have a school right around the corner. You have kids maybe walking to the gas station and walking beyond. But, maybe there's an opportunity if a couple of these parcels are not currently in the village, which is what this says, that when they do come in the village to develop, maybe you recoup some of the money if you want to at that point, if you feel that's necessary.
Excuse me, you record a recapture agreement against the property, that's
Yeah.
not difficult.
Yeah, so that's a way to recapture some of the money. I mean, I think that this is an opportunity we shouldn't.
And at
let
that
slide.
point, the recapture amount per lot would be so small. You could literally record a recapture agreement for a couple $1,000s per lot.
Okay, so is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kate Janice?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
No.
Motion carries. Okay, this would be J9. Is there a motion to approve the attached proposal for the village's arborist, Roger Ross, to conduct a comprehensive tree survey on the village-owned Woodbine property for the amount not to exceed $2,800? It is understood that this project will be paid out of the Park and Recreation Fund line item number 50-00-75-420.
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo,
Second.
second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
I do not think this survey should take place while Mr. Ludwig has his golf season in progress. I think it should wait till his golf season ends.
Okay.
I would tell you the reason why, I know that Roger, our arborist, Mr. Ross, has actually had a conversation with Mr. Ludwig about it. The reason that we're concerned is because we're fearful that maybe a couple, I'm not saying all the trees that are dead, but a couple of the trees that are dead might be in very bad condition, and we might have to get in and take them down quickly so that they don't present a harm to anyone. Roger will know this immediately if he is able to begin the tree survey next week. And then if we do have, let's say there's, 5 or 10 that he considers to be dangerous, we'll try to get in and get those immediately. And then, of course, we won't disturb any of the other ones until after the golf season is done. We just want to make sure that there's no hazardous conditions on the golf course. And Roger Ross will do everything in combination. He won't do anything without Mr. Ludwig knowing and cooperating with it.
Okay.
And he's been Mr. Ludwig's been very cooperative about it.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I have a question too.
Trustee Yukich, go ahead.
Has anyone contacted Mr. Ludwig to see, his season is very short right now. He doesn't have a lot left.
Right. Right. Well,
this, so everybody understands, is just a arborist walking around a golf course, just like another golfer, with a spray can. And if a tree is in a condition that it needs to come down, he's going to put a little X on it, and that's all he's doing is walking the golf course.
I understand it, but you still have golfers that are out there, and it doesn't say that one of them doesn't shank a ball and pop the guy.
Well, I think Roger's
got workers' comp.
He's under contract at that point.
I think too that he talked about doing it, talking with Mr. Ludwig about a time period that would be most advantageous in terms of a lower number of golfers on the course and things of that nature. So-
As long as someone talks to Mr. Ludwig first, because like I said,
Yeah.
you know, he's limited to what he can make right now, and I wouldn't want to hurt him in any way.
Absolutely, and you know, in addition to the arborist talking to him, Trustee Yukich, I'll talk to him also.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please.
I have just a quick question. So if if the arborist says there's a few trees that he feels are pretty hazardous, is the village going to cut these down without RFP, or how is that going to work?
Well, it's going to depend on how many there are.
Okay,
That's-
so
and that's
that
my
comes
honest
back to
answer.
us.
Like, if there's 5, we'll probably contract with someone quickly and get in and remove them at a time that doesn't disturb the golf. If he comes back and says there's 35 dangerous trees, that might be, you know, we'll still have to move quickly, but we might have to.
We really don't know what we're
But you're going to let Mr. Ludwig know
Oh, absolutely.
everything?
Absolutely.
That's why we're doing a survey. We don't
Okay.
know what we're dealing with at this
Absolutely.
point.
One of the other good things about the survey is, you know, you can certainly just go in and mark, you know, this is a dead tree, this is a dead tree, this is a dead tree. I actually want to know what species the dead trees are. We want to know, Roger needs to be able, we need to know what trees are doing well on the property and what trees haven't done well. And if there are certain species of trees, besides the emerald ash borer, if there's a certain species of trees that aren't doing well on the property, then we might want to stay away from planting those in the future. So that's a part of it too.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sluse?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J10. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 14-061, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a special use permit outdoor sales for a property commonly known as 15830 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, Central Big R Stores, Inc., conditioned upon the outdoor sales area must not infringe upon any ADA parking spaces as recommended by the Plan Commission.
So moved.
First by Trustee K. Janis.
Second.
Second by Trustee Yukich. Before we vote on it, I'm going to ask Assistant to the Village Manager of Planning and Zoning, Aaron Varan, to provide some background on the outdoor sales request related to the project. Aaron, go ahead.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Central Big R Stores, Inc. is before the Village Board requesting a special use to permit outdoor sales. The term outdoor sales includes outdoor merchandising and then promotional displays, and it's a special use in the C3 Business District. The petitioner has provided a plan that shows the 3 areas that they're going to be engaging in outdoor sales in, and the plan is included in your packet as attachment B. Area 1 is the existing garden center on the south end of the existing and former Kmart building. Area 2 is the sidewalk on the east side of the building. And both Area 1 and Area 2 are going to be used for outdoor sales year-round. Outdoor sales Area 3 is located in the central portion of the parking lot. This area is approximately 14,400 square feet in size, and it will be used from March 15th to July 15th each year. Several businesses in the village currently conduct outdoor sales on their property, and we've got some examples of them up on the screen. First, we have Home Depot. They also have 3 areas which they have outdoor sales. The first area shown here is on the sidewalk, and they have plant materials and sheds, and then just some various other items. Second, they have some sheds in the south area of their parking lot. And then their third area is just a large garden area in the north area of their parking lot. And this is separated with a temporary fence. The next business is the new Meijer store, and their parking area, or their outdoor sales area, is in the north portion, or the south portion of the parking lot. Features a large shade mart, which is similar to the shade marts that are proposed at the Big R. Meijer also conducts outdoor sales on their front sidewalk. The third store that I have up there is Menards. They have a large outdoor sales area on the north side of the parking lot, which I'm sure people are familiar with. They sell products like lumber in this area. And then fourth, we have the Jewel store, which was approved for outdoor sales in December of 2013. They display seasonal and promotional material on their sidewalk, but they're also approved for a seasonal area in their parking lot in the southeast corner. This area is not currently in use, but they have the approval for it. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Aaron?
I just have a quick question.
Go right ahead.
Is the Shade Mart and the Pay Hut will be completely removed after the season, after your July season, to open up more space, like for the holidays, parking? Oh. Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any, trustee Sabo, you had some?
Yeah, I did have a question for the representatives of Big R.
Who's ever the chief representative, you want to step up to the microphone?
Yes, sir.
I do see the way that you have it set, that would be Area 3, the outdoor sales, that it is long and perpendicular to the building. Have you considered making it horizontal? And the reason I'm saying that is because of traffic flow around it. It seems like it's awfully long going east and west. Is there a reason that you're setting it that way?
Yes, we didn't want to block the front of the building any more than we had to, and we think the traffic flow will actually be better in and out running east and west, as we have a major artery that goes in front that people can come out the front door and into the lawn and garden area.
Okay, because it appears in the drawing that you're splitting the parking area in half.
Yes, it could be considered as such, but we think that is not objectionable to our customers.
Well, I'm sure if it works, you'll leave it. If it doesn't, you'll find another solution.
Probably so, yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J11. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-062, an ordinance granting a variance for off-street parking from the applicable regulations of the zoning ordinance for the property commonly known as 15830 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, Central Big R Stores, Inc., as recommended by the Plan Commission?
So moved.
First by trustee Kajanis.
Second.
Second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J12. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-063, an ordinance granting a variance from the allowable number of wall signs per building elevation from the applicable regulations of the zoning ordinance for the property commonly known as 15830 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, Central Big R Stores, Inc., as recommended by the Plan Commission? Before we vote or have a discussion, I'm going to have Assistant to the Village Manager, Planning and Zoning, Aaron Varan, provide some background on the wall sign variance requested related to this project. Go right ahead, Aaron.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. There's two separate wall sign requests before the board today. The first variance addresses the actual number of wall signs permitted. The zoning ordinance allows one wall sign per building elevation. The petitioner is proposing 7 wall signs on the front elevation. The first is a new Big R sign, and then that sign is a dimensional surface style sign. The petitioner is also proposing 6 additional signs located on that front elevation. These are channel letter style signs, and they advertise brands that are sold in the Big R store. So this is a typical request of our bigger retailers that have multiple signs on the frontage of their building, on their front elevation. So I went and took some pictures of some of our bigger retailers. The first one is the Home Depot. They have 4 signs on their front elevation. Next is the new Meijer store with 8 signs. Menards is our top sign with 18. And then Jewel, which was approved with a variance in December of last year with 4 signs. And these signs will typically advertise other goods and services that are sold within the business, like Jewel's shows that they have a pharmacy and a Chase Bank and other services like that. The second variance addresses the total number of wall signage that is permitted. The petitioner is permitted 262 square feet of signage, and they're requesting 394 square feet of signage. The amount of wall signage permitted is determined by the building's street frontage, and the zoning ordinance states that that street frontage must be calculated using the building's frontage on the higher traffic street on a corner lot. So in this case, that means we have to use 159th Street, and if you're familiar with how the building is oriented, the shorter side of the building faces 159th Street. So it's important to note that this variance request, if the building was facing 159th Street, the second variance request wouldn't be necessary.
I think it's a reasonable request, seeing that just what you explained, the short side of the building is off 159th Street, but their larger frontage of the building is off of Bell Road. So that's just my comment on it. Is there any questions, Mike?
No, just a comment, when you go past a store right now, when there's no sign up there, to have a big R on there is going to be great. But when you look at the brick to the north and south of that, to be honest with you, if there wasn't something on it, I think the building would not be as attractive as having, you know, stills, chainsaws, Honda, things like that. And again, as Aaron had mentioned, that the building is so long and the way it's situated, if it was turned 90 degrees, we wouldn't even be discussing this. So I think the signage would fit the building, actually.
Yeah, I think it's a good display for them too. They'll show what products they have in the store. So if somebody's coming down the street, they can say, oh, you know, they carry Bosch tools, or they do this, or they carry Carhartt, or, you know, whatever the product may be. But you can pick that up right from the street, you know. So I think it's a reasonable request. Is there any further discussion?
At the Plan Commission meeting, actually, the petitioner gave a very brief and I think good explanation of the importance of these signs. I don't know if you want to give the opportunity to let him talk a little bit about that.
Oh, thanks, Cameron. Yes, we think since we are a bit unknown, we think the front of the building is a sign for us that we can advertise and let people know as they go by and quickly glance and see that we have Carhartt or Neutrino Feed or Briggs & Stratton, this type of thing. And I think the trustee is right that it does help to dress up the building just a little bit too, because it is a little bit plain. So I think it kills two birds with one stone. And we have taken the advice of the staff. We are usually provided these signs. They're 4x8 signs, internally lit. So they didn't like that. So we've gone to the expense of not using the provided signs by our good vendors, but we're having channel letters made so it spells out the name like Honda or Neutrino rather than being in a box sign that you would typically see. So I think it's going to look really neat.
Okay. Trustee Sabo?
I just had a question. Will there be signs on the south side? Any signs on the south side, or just the signs on the Bell Road side?
Just on the Bell Road side, ma'am.
Okay. You chose not to want any signs on the 159th Street side? Or
okay, big R sign on the big R sign only on the 159th Street side.
So there will be a big R on 159th Street also?
Correct.
Oh, because I didn't, was that spelled out in here that there would be a sign on 159th
No, if
Street?
they want to do that, then they'd have to come back and add to their request. And they'd be allowed to, because you're allowed to have a sign on that side on the corner lot.
Okay.
But it's not a part of this. This is the first report.
Was he talking about the monument sign or something on the building?
You're talking about maybe an additional wall sign.
Right. Jeff and I discussed that. Evidently, we didn't get that in our request. We'll come back at a future date and talk about that.
And that, per the ordinance, they would be allowed to do that. It's just not a part of this request.
Okay.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Oh, thank you. Will the signs be stacked like we see it there, or are they going to be across the building, across the front?
We've discussed both, and we think they look better stacked. We'll probably spread them out just a little bit more from the front door, but it looks better, we think, than running them linearly across the top.
Okay, and I just wanted to say I ran into a few people outside of the village limits that have small farms, and when they heard about Big R, they're ecstatic.
Well, good. I'm glad they know who we are.
Without any advertising.
You got some customers.
Yes.
Is there, Trustee Yukich?
Real quick, with it being allowed in the first place to put the sign on 159th, why are you going to chase them back here? if they can have the sign just.
They might not have to
They,
come back.
yeah, they wouldn't
Yeah,
have
because
to.
I mean, it seems senseless to bring them back here before for
They
something
would
like
only
that.
have to come back if it was
Well-
larger than their ordinance allows.
Well,
So chances are
The
we
village,
won't be back.
the village attorney is telling me we can do it right now.
Just add it.
Just add it on to the
I
thing.
make them come back.
Because we don't know the size, and you're doing it on the floor of the village board. So chances are, they will not have to come back,
Maybe
because
they're
they will
gonna
probably.
They'll be within compliance. Okay, all right. So they'll, if they're gonna put something on the,
tried.
In compliance,
south
good.
side of the building, it'll be compliant
As
with the
long
sign
as it's the
ordinance.
same
Well,
Is
Mr.
there any
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, what I'd like to suggest is, based on our attorney, is why don't we go ahead and include that on that side if
Because
it's
they-
within compliance?
Because they don't know
They
the
don't-
size.
Well, if it's within compliance,
Then they don't have.
If it, then they don't even have to come.
Compliance, you won't come back.
it doesn't need
Doesn't
to.
need
He doesn't
to.
need to come back.
Because they're allowed.
Just want to make sure.
Okay.
They're
I wanna
allowed
make sure.
such a large size.
And the reason why I'm bringing that is up, I want the board to understand that as well.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, is there any further discussion?
I had a question. If they're allowed and they're not, and, you know, they'd have to get some more information on what they would want to do. Even though it would be in compliance, why wouldn't it come back to the board so that we would know that this was happening?
If a sign request, if a business has a sign request that is compliant with village ordinance, it doesn't come back. to
I
the-
see.
Yeah, and they would be allowed to put a big R sign roughly the size of what you're looking here, maybe a little bit smaller on that south side. So I doubt that they'll have to come back before the board.
Okay.
If it exceeds the sign ordinance, they'll have to be back for a variance. If it's within the ordinance, they don't have to come back. They're allowed by ordinance to do what they want to do. Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kijana?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sluse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes.
ask you just one question?
Sure.
Did we have a motion and a second on that before we voted?
I believe we did, we?
Actually, no, we
No,
didn't.
we
Okay, we did not.
We did
Okay.
not.
Second on that.
Okay, because we had Aaron explain it, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay, so is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-063, an ordinance granting a variance from the allowable number of wall sign permits per building per building elevation from the applicable regulations of the zoning ordinance for the property commonly known as 15830 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, Central Big R Stores, Inc., as recommended by the Plan Commission.
So moved.
First by trustee K. Janice.
Second.
Second by, who is that?
Costa.
Trustee Costa. We've had a discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kijana?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sluse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J13. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-064, an ordinance granting a variance for the amount of wall signage permitted from the applicable regulations of the zoning ordinance for a property commonly known as 15830 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, Central Big R Stores, Inc., as recommended by the Plan Commission?
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich, second by trustee K. Janice. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sluse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kijana?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J14. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-065, an ordinance granting a variance for an electronic message center sign for the property commonly known as, 15830 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, Central Big R Stores, Inc., conditioned upon the following: the display cannot feature live video, and 2, the display cannot feature flashing messages, and 3, the dwelling time must be per IDOT standards, and 4, the luminance cannot exceed 5,000 nits during the daylight hours and 150 nits during all other times, and the display must go dark in the electronic message center. The display must go dark if the electronic message center malfunctions, and the petitioner agrees to provide space for the village-sponsored public service announcements as recommended by the Plan Commission.
I so moved.
First by, who was that, trustee?
Ms.
Sabo. Second by trustee K. Janice. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
No, wait.
Oh, you need to say something, I can't.
Well, you're going so fast, somebody...
You just go like this, just say, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I don't think you'll leave enough seconds between to even get there.
Okay, I can't see this.
Well, I didn't do that.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
said,
You've
wait.
got the floor. You've got the floor.
Well, I just think there should be time for discussion if somebody wants to.
I asked for
to
discussion.
Discuss it. I look here at number Roman numeral 3 in the box, and it says dwell time must be per IDOT standards. And IDOT standards, I believe the Plan Commission had thought that IDOT standards were a little too quick. And so I think that that's probably 6 times. It can change 6 times per minute. I don't know if that's correct, but I do believe that that's a little too fast. And so that, that's my comment on that part.
Okay, anything else?
As far as whether they're popular or not, I think you're very popular. I think people know more about you than you think. And but I do not agree with the having an electronic message center for this property. There are many reasons. I think that it invites others to have the same, and then there would be a lot of those. I believe that you're going to make quite according to the predictions or your predictions, that you're going to do very well. And I don't believe that the electronic message center is really necessary for you to bring in more sales or for you to advertise. I think people are going to know about you, and so that's my feeling on electronic signs. I don't think that it's aesthetically pleasing in this community.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, I feel it's, Mr. Mayor, I think the sign is attractive. I don't think it's obtruse. It does not have flashing, and I think it does the job. It alerts and it draws attention to the Big R in a new area that may not be as well known. It draws hopefully a lot of customers from other areas surrounding us to bring sales into our area for other gas stations that have electronic message boards, as well as our restaurants that are right next door to it. I think it is, like I said, I think it's attractive and it's not obnoxious. And that's my opinion.
Okay.
And also, I'd like to add, in a retail business, it's very difficult to be a retailer. Not everyone has the opportunity to be retailers, and signage is very important to retailers to allow the customers or the possible customers, pending customers, to draw attention to your business. And I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Trustee Costa, you had something?
Mr. Mayor, I know in the past there have been other businesses that have asked for signs similar to this. Do we know what other businesses in the past few years that have asked for that and they've been denied? I believe, did Myers ask for this initially and then they were denied because it's against the ordinance?
Well, Myers does have at their gas station right out in front of their store, they have where they change the prices of gasoline and.
Well, that's gasoline. They're not promoting chainsaws or hunting equipment.
The signage for Myers was negotiated with the original agreement many years ago, so it wouldn't fit your recently question. It was negotiated years ago.
What I'm concerned about with is that that's not in our ordinance. We don't allow signs like this, and I mean, if we're going to use the premise that they're going to put information about the village on it, then I think every business that wants a sign will say that they'll do the same thing. I'm just concerned that the roads are going to be dotted with electronic signs, and I don't feel that it's a good fit for our village. I'm sorry.
Okay. Calm down out there. Okay, is there any further discussion? Everybody's gonna have their own opinion on this.
Right.
Go ahead, trustee Yukich.
Honestly, I agree. We have two in the village that were here before we became a village. We have another company that's coming in that's going to have a lighted sign. That's all they're gonna have on it. Your name precedes you. I mean, everyone that I've talked to, and I've gone on a couple of your stores now to see how it is, just your name sells. I don't believe that you need the big sign either. You've got it right on the building. I'm sure you're gonna be doing some advertising. I just think that we put it in an ordinance for a reason. We don't need them here. You shouldn't either. You go down LaGrange where you have umpteen thousand stores, and they don't have it there. People are gonna know you. You're the only kid on the block right there. So, I agree. I don't feel
Okay, any further discussion?
Could I comment, Mr.
Madam Clerk, go right ahead.
Mr. Mayor, we have these, or message board signs at 14 of our 16 existing stores, and we have found that they do increase sales, they do draw attention. We have verifiable results that in some stores it could increase sales as much as 20% a year, others in the high teens, which is a significant number. And I appreciate your comments about us being better known than we thought, but still we aren't a national company. There's going to be a lot of folks out there that don't know who Big R is. I think it will help draw traffic. It is a very tasteful sign. It's within the dimensions of what's allowed. The 8x8 is approved, and the flashing portion or the movable copy portion is only 6x8, 48 square feet. At one of our stores, we have a movable copy sign that is at least twice that big. And we think it'll be tasteful, it'll look good. I understand your concerns, but it will increase traffic, it will increase sales.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Yukich?
No.
Trustee Costa?
Nay.
Trustee DeVivo?
No.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
No.
Motion denied. This would be J15. Is there a motion to approve an economic development incentive for Central Big R Stores, Inc., structured for the village to retain the 2012 base year 1% sales tax revenue generated by the former Kmart in the amount of $66,000 each year of the incentive agreement, and a rebate 70% of the 1% sales tax revenue incentive above the 2012, please, I'm trying to read a motion. Bob? I'm trying to read a motion. I'll start the motion over again. Is there a motion to approve an economic development incentive for Central Big R Stores, Inc., structured for the village to retain the 2012 base year 1% sales tax revenue generated by the former Kmart in the amount of $66,000 each year of the incentive agreement, and rebate 70% of the 1% sales tax revenue increment above the 2012 base year generated by Big R, with a maximum term of 10 years and a total incentive cap of $322,000, whichever comes first, based on the findings of facts consistent with the village board's SOP number 7 review criteria, as discussed by the Community and Economic Development Committee, and to direct the village manager to work with the village attorney to draft an incentive agreement for final approval and execution by the village board at the upcoming meeting.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
I second.
Second by trustee K. Janis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
That concludes legislation and action items. The next item on the agenda is old business, and at the beginning of the meeting, we had an amendment to the agenda by trustee Yukich. We wanted to first discuss the dog ordinance.
Yes, please. What I'd like to know right now is where are we at with the dog ordinance?
We have, Joe and I finished the draft of the ordinance, and I have to tell you that, my first impression was that, this wasn't gonna be hard to do, to write a dog, how hard can it be to write a dog control ordinance? It was incredibly complicated to write it, because of all of the different state statutes that are involved with dog controls. So I looked at a lot of different ordinances, obviously from other towns. We've come up with a draft. Joe and I met yesterday afternoon to go through that draft. I just have to put a memo together summarizing each one of the sections, and my hope is to have that to all of you by the end of next week.
Okay.
Okay.
The second thing is, I wanted to ask Lieutenant Fish, I know they've issued at least one ticket. Has there been any other issued since then?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Because Mrs. Schubert had called me and she said that the dog still runs unleashed and without a muzzle. And, the only thing that kind of I agree with is most of the neighbors that have been around her that have talked to me said that they're still deathly afraid of this dog. This dog is as big as some of the people that live there. So I feel bad that Mrs. Schubert's kind of stuck inside the house. She doesn't want to go outside. If the dog is outside, she will not leave the house. If the husband goes outside, he runs to get to his car. So, it seems like it's a little bit ridiculous that anyone should have to deal with this in the first place. If it was a human that did what the dog did, the human would be in jail.
Okay, well, Mark is going to bring that forward as soon as we possibly can.
Okay.
Your second one, under old business, was Woodbine build-out and auction.
Okay, with the Woodbine build-out, it's real quick on that one too. When this was first discussed, it was discussed as having a community center and a village hall. At the last meeting we had for the build-out, it changed a lot. Now we are building out the entire building, which is 24,000 square feet. And what seems to get me is with a new building that they want to build out, and you have to understand this is for $2.4 million. They want to put in 7 conference rooms plus a boardroom. They want to add 5 toilets to a building that already has 5 in it. 4 of them have 4 separate toilets and sinks, showers. They have mudrooms in them because they have the showers in it. They are putting in offices for positions that don't even exist right now. So my concern is, why are we spending all this money? If we need to build it down the line, and even the village manager had said, we're looking, 5-10 years. Well, we eliminated a community room that was promised to the community. We're building something that no one's gonna use. It's not like the baseball field. If you build, they're gonna come. So I don't understand why we're spending all this money. Whether it was set aside to do the job or not, just because the money's there, doesn't mean we have to spend it. So all I would like is, because the meetings that we've had, I've never seen a resident come in. I haven't seen anyone come in except village staff and some of the elected officials. I just want it out there that everyone knows they're talking $2.4 million to put some offices in a building. So I would appreciate it if some people did come to these meetings and see how we're spending our money, and I would like to see the community center come back, because it was said that it's going to be there, and there's a lot of people that are already anticipating it, and now all of a sudden it disappeared.
I'd like to address that. First of all, there's been one meeting on space analysis, one meeting. And the plans that came in today show a 1,000 square foot room is a community center. The village boardroom, which, by the way, the architect that is on this job was voted by Trustee Yukich as his first pick. The 1,600 to 1,800 square foot room, which is the village boardroom, one of the recommendations from the Williams architect, and they've done it in other places, which I think is a very good use of space, is they roll across a moving wall. The idea is only really used twice a month by the village board, and it's used twice a month by the planning commission. Any other meetings that would have to use this, whether it be the sewer and water, joint water agency, it can be rolled back at that time. So you have the number one, the community center and rooms for the public to use have not disappeared. They're being incorporated into this project, and there's only been one space analysis meeting so far. There are conclusions being drawn here that I feel are just simply ridiculous. That's my feeling on it.
Okay, well then, I can address it back, and I don't want to get into a peon match here, but the architect that did come out, yes, I did vote for him, because they're a good company. But there's not one person on this board that gave him carte blanche on what they can do. He's asking us, as a village, what we plan on doing. And I have my list that I sent to him, and I sat down with him and talked to him too about what they are gonna do. And I told him at the time, this isn't a Taj Mahal. This is a village hall. They are there to accommodate the residents and accommodate the great staff that we have. But it did change, and I asked in the meeting, so there is no more community center, and I was told yes, by you, Mr. Mayor.
No, it
So-
wasn't. It never was said that, because I checked with the clerk about the minutes, and she can address you and tell you I never said that.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so,
right.
you know.
Well,
George,
we'll
I don't
check
want
the
to get in a
minutes. All right,
fighting
here,
match
all it
with
is
you.
I just, like I said, it's simple. I just want everyone to know.
Okay.
$2.4 million to build out, not to build the building. And if anyone's gone through Woodbine, the building's in very good shape. To spend $2.4 million of taxpayer money, to me, it's ludicrous.
Okay, your next item was political signs?
Political signs. We have an election coming up that we can't do anything about, but a few years ago, we tried to do this before Trustee Costa and I ran for re-election, and that was to eliminate the political signs in the public right-of-way, because they don't belong there. And I was told that you can't do it. We have an ordinance, and it would affect everything that we're going to be doing, and when we asked to get it changed, we were told no. Well, now I printed out a copy, so everybody knows, in the state of Illinois, it is not legal to put a sign in a public right-of-way. It is legal to put it in a private house, and that's where they belong. As you drive down a road at any political event that we have in a village, and I'm not counting what we're having right now, because right now it's very good with signs. Most of them are in people's lawns. But when we have a village election here, what you have is signs up and down, sometimes 15, 20 of them within 30 feet of each other. You have them mounted up on corners. You have people constantly going there and changing them, because everyone puts their sign in front of the next one and the next one, so it's a game. I don't believe they belong there. We have a sign ordinance that says they don't belong there. We've been enforcing a sign ordinance with everybody else. I think it's time that we put this in perspective and practice what we preach.
One of the issues with that subject matter is that we have a small highway department which is contracted out. The main roads, 159th Street, 143rd Street. Well, I'll step back a second. 159th Street is a state road.
Mm-hmm.
We're not supposed to be in there right away. Plus, they're going to be doing construction on it here shortly. Bell Road and 143rd, our major streets, are all not owned by Homer Glen. 143rd and Bell Road are county roads. So our streets that we own, that you could scoop them up in a heartbeat if they were in the right of way, are in our neighborhoods. I mean, if the county wants to take the signs down, the county can send people out to work 143rd Street and Bell Road. If the state wants to take them out, and they do take them out on occasion. They don't do it a lot, I can tell you that. But they do, as you've run for election and I've run for election. They come, and they'll actually tell you where they put them so you can go get them, but they yank them probably once or twice each election. But, the election season, the signs go up probably 30 days before the election. I think Homer Glen has had signs out there since we incorporated. I don't see it being that big an issue, for 30 days to have people putting political signs out there that they're running for election. I mean, that's my opinion. If the county doesn't want it, let the county pick it up in their right of way. If The state doesn't want it, let the state pick it up on our head. Why should our taxpayer dollars be paying our highway commissioner to tie up his guys to go out with trucks, fuel, everything else to take these signs out of somebody else's right away?
Well, that's
No,
kind
not
of a
some-
simple
not
question.
someone else's, just ours.
That's kind of a real simple question. If you enforce the ordinance and they keep putting them up, you fine them. They don't belong in the public right away. And as for that,
How does the Village of Homer Glen find somebody for a sign that's in somebody else's right away, not the Village of Homer Glen's right away?
I don't think, excuse me, if I can just
Go ahead.
make a comment.
Trustee
I don't
Benson.
believe Trustee Yukich was talking about the state or the county right-of-way. He was talking about the village-owned streets. We know that we can't send our highway department on a county or state road. We're talking about
If that's what
the
he's
village
talking
streets.
about, I'm in full agreement.
Yeah, village streets.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
But even there, it's still in the ordinance, and it's our village. It says here in Illinois, the Illinois campaign season never ends, because they can be up 365 days a year. And we do have one right now that is running for election next April that there is a sign out for. That's not 30 days. But it says municipalities may not prevent the display of political yard signs on residential property at any time. Though they may adopt reasonable restrictions governing the signs, signs may not, however, be placed or held in designated, God, it sucks getting old, you can't read, campaign-free zone, the area within 100 feet of the door of the political location. Illinois law also specifies that campaign communications, including yard signs, that include the name of the candidate must be clearly identified in the political committee or an entity paying for the sign. They're saying right there that you can't have them in it. It says it for the state. You can't have it on state highways, interstate. The only one that can really regulate it is an HOA if it's in their community. It looks unsightly.
Well, we can definitely pick them up on our streets if they're in the right-of-ways of our streets. People have the right to put a sign in their front yard.
Yes.
As you see, Proud Union all over the place.
And I have no problem with that.
So, I have no problem having John Robinson go out and pick up signs that are in the right-of-ways of streets that are owned by the village. But I
Mayor?
certainly am not gonna have DeVivo out there and get somebody waxed on one of these other streets that we don't know. Now we've bought a bigger problem because of a $2 sign.
Mayor, just from a staff perspective, if I could just get some clarification. So, I've been traveling around looking at all these intersection improvements lately, and of course, neighborhood stuff with Sue Stylen, who's here doing tree stuff and things like that. And there are a lot of election signs right now in public right-of-way on municipal streets. There's probably 4 or 5 right around this building that, from Mr. Lipinski and the person who's running against him. So I just want to make sure that what I'm hearing for the board is your desire that tomorrow we start taking down all these signs, because there will be hundreds of them. And I just want to make sure that that's what your desire is. I know there will be, because I've seen them as I travel around, and you probably have seen them too. Some people also, they feel that the parkway is a part of their yard, so they'll put the election sign out in the public parkway, which of course is road right-of-way. And so you'd be asking us to go and remove them from residential parkways?
No, what I'd be asking you to do is put it on the website that signs in the right-of-way on Homer Glen streets are not allowed. You can have them on your individual lot. Let's put a notification up on the website.
Okay. So like the sign, again, I don't want to be bothersome, but I really want to do what you want. So like, as an example, when you leave here tonight, if you go towards the park, you'll see several of the congressman's signs. They're in the road right-of-way. So are those signs that you want us to start removing?
Which right-of-way are you talking about?
Right out in front of the building, right at the front of the building.
No.
There's some out here too at the intersections. There's some down at that intersection that are in the road right-of-way. I could keep going. I mean, there's hundreds.
Yeah, but that's the right-of-way, correct, of the county, correct?
Some of them are on the side streets too.
Well, if they're on the county, or if they're on the county property, it's the county's responsibility to maintain their right-of-ways. If it's on our property, I don't have a problem with, picking them up. Whoever they are, but.
I just want to make sure, because, there will be some feedback on that, obviously, because there will be
As long
hundreds
as-
of them.
You know what,
So I just want to
Kim,
make sure.
the easy way to think about it is just think of a equal playing field, okay?
Okay.
If one comes up, then we're taking them all up in the right of ways.
The only reason I'm trying, just to be clear about it, is because it's a pretty big departure from what you've done since I've been here. So, and we're in the middle, we're 2 weeks away from an election, we will have to start tomorrow, and it will be a lot of time. So I just want to let you know.
I'm not looking for it to start tomorrow. They've already been, they're up. The
Okay.
election's coming up, any election after this.
Yeah, let's do it after
Is that
this
the
election
general?
because
Okay, very good.
we're just.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
After this election, we'll do a notification thing. We'll put it in a newsletter, any election coming up in April.
I appreciate that
Yeah,
clarification.
okay.
Thank you.
All
I
right,
don't think this is the time to put it into.
okay. That's fine.
Thanks.
I was
There's
getting the
a
feeling that people
election.
wanted immediate action.
No.
You want to do it for the next election?
I
let's
want to do
discuss
it
it.
for the rest of the elections after this last one. You
I'd
can't
like to-
punish the people that have them up right now.
Okay.
Right, I think that could be discussed. I think it should be discussed, and I have no problems with discussing it. It was brought up today. Didn't have enough time. You talk about time to prepare. 2 hours didn't give me a chance to prepare.
I'm not looking for
Look
anyone to
into it.
vote.
So, no.
Okay.
We can
is
we can
there-
put on the next
Is
agenda.
there any old business, any
Ye-
other old
yes,
business? Go
Yes,
ahead, Trustee Sabo.
I would like to address Mr. Freedy's comments. Mr. Freedy, please don't leave. Throughout the, at the public hearing, you made comments, and those comments were in every supplement sheet pertaining to Big R. And I didn't want to bring it up then because we were talking about Big R. But here you had mentioned the same thing in your public comment tonight. And you've been very faithful coming to the board meetings, and your subdivision has improved as far as water conditions are. But there is still the issue of more water flowing to your subdivision, Oak Valley, during the construction and after IDOT is completed this road. And I would like, we all would like some attention to this issue and to be able to try to work with IDOT about this or make some suggestions. I hope in their planning that this is not too late. And maybe Mike Salamovich can address what has been done to prevent more water flowing into Oak Valley. This has been an ongoing issue for years, so.
Yeah, as far as the 159th Street project, they are planning to do stormwater detention as part of the project. That'll be accomplished by basically 3 different methods. One, they're going to be oversizing a lot of the storm sewer to accommodate the extra storage. They're going to be constructing a couple detention ponds along the right-of-way, and they've acquired right-of-way to do so. And then the third thing, what they're going to be doing is they're actually going to be constructing wider ditches. So those ditches are going to actually kind of serve 2 purposes. They're going to, be able to, transport the water to the outlet points, but they're also going to be able to store some water as well too. With regards to stormwater detention, the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency does require that any project over an acre, they have to have a specific a SWIP, which is a stormwater pollution prevention plan. Typically on the larger projects, especially the IDOT projects, they have specific documentation that needs to be accounted for, needs to be submitted to account for, basically to monitor the stormwater management. Like I said, there's a specific plan that they have to follow. Typically after any half-inch rain, they have to do an inspection. They have to do regular inspections on the erosion control as well too. So those things will be monitored. Of course, staff will be keeping an eye on these things as well. And if we see any problems, we will be contacting, working with the RE from IDOT on this project. So we will definitely be monitoring these things. As far as with the Oak Valley, we've done 3 drainage projects in that subdivision so far, and we do have more that we have planned in the future. to continue to try to improve the drainage. So we are certainly working on it.
Yeah, and they were very significant drainage projects. Remember, we did that entire detention pond over. I've been out to see it several times. It turned out very well. And go ahead.
Can I just say one thing? If I misconstrued or misspoke regarding Big R, I'm certainly for this company. This is a great thing for us to have. But I'd be remiss in my duties as an Oak Valley Homeowners Association person if I didn't keep this issue before you.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, the staff has been just excellent. Sure, I'd like it to move faster, but you know, we've worked together now I've been retired 4 years, and I've been working with these folks for 4 years, and we've gotten a lot of stuff done. And we continue to get more done. As a matter of fact, at the Planning Commission meeting, Cam Davis and Mike Salamovich and I are going to meet to talk about this erosion issue. So we're not sitting on our hands here, and all I'm trying to do is keep the issue in front of you folks so that we can, I mean, I believe in the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You know, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, is there any other old business?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead.
I was looking over on the Homer Community Fest 2014 receipts and expenses. Everything looks solid. One thing thinking about going forward in the future, and I do not want to announce the cash that we have flow for safety and security reasons, but one thing I believe, if it hasn't already been addressed, and it could be concerning, is with this type of cash on that weekend, is that there's proper cash controls, bank reconciliations, daily audits, accountability for the deposits in the cash, whether it be the daily banks that the volunteers are using, and possibly some services for protection of the cash and the people, and just go through kind of a cash sheet. It's running as a cash business, so I just want to bring that up when you're dealing with these types of financials here. The extra step of people, product, and cash security and accountability of it has to be the utmost.
Trustee Key Janice, I can assure you that if you'd like to, we could sit down with the village clerk and with Elena Bose and with Sue Stylen. We can explain to you everything that happens that way, and I think you'll be more than satisfied at the
That's fine.
level of control. Yeah.
Is there?
I did witness a couple days, so I was concerned.
Is there any other old business? Okay. Is there any new business?
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor. You know, this evening on a few of the ordinances, I know it's happened in the past, we have issues that are going in front of Plan Commission. The ordinance is based on the Plan Commission recommendation. And again, I shouldn't say based on. The recommendation comes from the Plan Commission to the board. My question is, are these ordinances coming to us after the Plan Commission approves the minutes from the meeting that they're making that recommendation? And if not, it should.
If that happened, all these projects would be delayed quite some time. What happens is Erin always checks them very carefully. Of course, she's at every meeting. I'm at some. She also talks to Candace, the minutes secretary, to make sure that everything is copacetic. This is actually pretty common, Trustee Costa. I mean, in all the municipalities I've worked for, this is kind of how it happens. They don't typically wait until the minute, because in some cases the minutes could come like a month later, so it would be a significant delay for some of these projects.
Well, then I want to direct my question to legal counsel, which I do more than once.
I want to echo Cam's comments on this. Every town that I know and that I've worked with does it exactly this way.
Okay, so we're okay though.
Because not only do you not have situations where the meetings are delayed, the minutes, the approval of the minutes wouldn't be delayed till the next meeting. That's in the best case scenario. Oftentimes they're delayed for multiple months. There's other towns where the Plan Commissions only meet, or Zoning Board of Appeals only meet on an as-needed basis.
Okay.
So then it's off even a longer period of time.
I just brought up the question.
They may never get approved.
Just brought up the question.
And Trustee Costa, it's just an added sense of comfort when, as a double check, when Erin actually puts together the document, she actually gets the motion from Candace.
Okay.
So there's kind of like a double check that happens there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Perfect,
Is
thank
there
you.
any other new business, Trustee Sabo?
I would like to report on something that's not new business. Well, actually, it is new business. Actually, it is, because it concerns Big R, and I did not ask that. But I had sent an email to the manager and also to Janie Patch concerning whether Big R could sell certain equipment within a certain distance of a school. So, and I particularly was talking, referencing hunting items or guns or things like that. So, the answer was that they would be applying for a license to do this. But I still think that we should know whether the school is, if there is a restriction on this, if a certain distance in square footage or whether, or whatever it is, whether they can sell firearms or hunting equipment, whatever it is, close to a school.
And I can answer that question.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yes, I knew you would be. And the answer is that there are no statutory restrictions on that. And I would not advise the village under any set of circumstances to impose those, because that will only bring the National Rifle Association and other similarly disposed organizations to your doorstep.
Understanding that, I just thought perhaps there was a state requirement.
Yeah, there, you know, I had someone research this afternoon, very capable associate, and the answer to the question is there is no such regulation.
Well, I'm so glad
or
we cleared
restriction.
that up.
Okay, is there any other new business? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich. Second by trustee Sweez. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Meeting adjourned.